Welcome to Straight Out of Savannah, Talking with Tammi, a podcast that showcases people you may not know who are choosing to use their gifts to inspire and move the planet.
Thank you so much for joining us on Straight Out of Savannah. I am so excited to be here. My guest, Desjanée Threat, is here, and she is amazing. And so she's going to share a little bit about who she is and what it is that she does, and then we're going to get into it. Take it away, Desjanée.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shaman Desjanée Threat, and it's nice to meet you. And what I do, it's been very interesting because I've been someone who's always known she was psychic her whole life, and I've been tied and connected to the magical and the mythical. And my purpose is raising Earth's vibration, uplifting humanity, and helping people tap back into their magic and the magic within the universe, Re-Awaken. So I do this in various ways, but I've been led by the Divine Council, which is the Council of Gods, Goddesses, and Deities. I'm a representative of them, the Galactic Federation. So I'm an Atlantean Starseed, I'm an Earth Angel, a Mystick, a Shaman, and a Lightworker, and a healer. And really, I'm helping other people connect to themselves, their gifts, their abilities, their spiritual teams. I've been doing more consistent readings, and as I've been teaching more, the strongest thing that my spiritual team has had me focus on is building that connection energetically with their spiritual teams. There's a disconnect that happens between people and their spiritual teams, their spirit guides, the archangels, the Galactic Federation, different gods, goddesses, and deities, their ancestors, all these amazing beings that are around you, but people lose that disconnect when it comes to them spiritually. Each spirit, each divine being has a distinctive energy. So for me personally, I've been helping people connect to their spiritual teams. Examples would be like Archangel Michael, understanding his energy, being able to connect directly, because in general, I am a channeler. I'm an intuitive channeler and seer, so I can channel Archangel Michael, and I'm able to have his energy flow through me. And every time I channel, there's a shift. Anyone who channels, there's a shift. That's his energy coming in and then leaving. Yes. So for me, I've been led, as I've been reading more people and connecting with more people, to help them connect to the archangels themselves, understand their energy, receive information by themselves. And really, it's not that hard to do. It's simple. It's 3 steps. People overcomplicate it. It's grounding yourself, being in your energy, being present, calling in, invoking the energies by name. It's really good when you know their name. So when I read people, I usually give them their spirit guide's name, which archangel by name, ancestor by name, because that gives you that direct communication so that you don't have to say any ancestor's highest and best good. And then what you do is ask them a question. You start building that relationship. That's where the energy may go a little bit different, because you may be blocked, and then you may receive differently. And then it's really, if you're able to pick up on the energy, you focus on the energy and get to know that energy and build the relationship, you'll be able to receive more information. And I also help people by activating their gifts, removing blockages, where they can receive the information and really be aligned with their purpose.
I was going to say, how could they tell if they have a blockage with receiving information?
So when you call in the energy and you're able to pick up on it, because the energy shifts, you're able to feel them, that make their energy and presence known to you. If you're okay with this, we can do Archangel Michael, because a lot of people are connected to him.
Absolutely.
Ooh, my body just shook and confirmed that he wants me to do it. So beautiful energy. So what we do is just ground ourselves in ourselves. Just focus your energy and connect to yourself, because it's good. And if you need, grab water, y'all. It's going to be energetically heavy. Water is essential. Stay hydrated. And when you do, you just focus your energy on self. And when you're grounded in self, you just ask Archangel Michael to make his energy and presence known to you. And you're going to focus. You're going to pick up on the energetic shift. You're going to feel him. That is his energy. And then when you're comfortable, actually, I always tell people to sit in his energy a little bit, because that's how you build the relationship. As you're sitting in Archangel Michael's energy, you're just focusing on that energy and building that connection. Every time you communicate with Archangel Michael, every time you call him in, every time you ask for assistance, because you should direct the conversation, don't just let him come through. It's best to work with your spiritual team by asking them, because that gives them permission to come in and to assist you. And as you're focusing in on his energy, you're feeling his energy, you're building this energetic connection. This energy will be the same every time you communicate with Archangel Michael, which people need to know. That's how you know it's him. Energy is hard to replicate. Everyone has distinctive energy. This is Archangel Michael's energy. Now, when it comes to receiving information, what I usually have people start off with is, Archangel Michael, what do you want me to know? And people receive information differently. So you may hear something, that's clairaudience. You may just know, that's claircognizance, that's channeling information. You may see something, that's clairvoyance. Right now you're feeling a lot. This is tapping into his energy, that's clairsentience.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're blocked from that, you may not hear anything, or you may not see anything. You may be trying, you feel like his presence is there, but yet you're not getting the information. That's the blockage. That's the blockage in receiving. Mm-hmm. Now, when the blockage comes up, we work through this a few different ways. Mm-hmm. Activating and releasing the fears that may be in there. It's also allowing the energy to flow through you, which is me invoking their energy. So in this case, Archangel Michael would flow through you, and you would start feeling his energy more intensely. Because right now you're feeling it on the outside, you'll feel it in the inside. And when you start feeling his energy, he's going to focus on certain areas for you. So if you feel the pressure on your ears, that means you're clairaudient. That's how you should be receiving information. You may feel it a lot in your crown and your third eye. That's showing your clairvoyance, your claircognizance. You may feel it in your nose. That's that clairalience. You may feel like you're tasting things. That's clairgustance. It's helping to activate your gifts and giving you confirmations of how you should be receiving. And that's how you start to unblock and remove it. But yeah, the best thing you can do is feel and pick up on the energy, because that shows that you are that sensitive and you are able to know when they're aware, and you build that relationship and work with them to receive information and be open to receiving it. Because if you're not open to receiving, you don't receive. Mm-hmm.
That is so amazing. I love the way you put that, because that is really what happened to me. Is they kind of came to me and they were like, I want you to be open to receiving. And so that's something that I say every day, every single day, many, many times in a day, that I'm open to receive. So I think that is, if nothing else, I think people should definitely get that part, because I know I hear it a lot in these internet streets about people saying, oh, I have a blockage, I can't do that. You hear that too, right?
Oh yeah, all the time. But before we continue, I just want to say thank you, Archangel Michael, for making your energy and presence known and letting me, utilize you and work with you during this time right now.
Yes. Thank you, Archangel Michael. Thank you. I feel that energy, and I appreciate you for, facilitating that. That was amazing. So we're going to get into, I want to talk a little bit about your history, so that I want people to see, where you came from and how you got where you are.
Sounds great.
So let's talk about, because you and I have common territory, the religious thing. Let's talk about that and how you, started navigating out of that.
So I was raised Christian, and I would say in toxic Christianity. I want to emphasize that not everyone is, but in my case, it was toxic.
Yes.
And my grandparents are very religious. My grandparents were very hands-on with raising me, even though my mom did raise me, but I had very active grandparents.
Yeah.
And honestly, throughout my whole life, I've always known that there was more out there. I always felt it, even though I was always told that Jesus is the only God, you should only be focusing on him. But I've always liked mythology and lore. I loved Hercules, and it just didn't resonate with me personally. So in it not resonating, it was like always a pull. And for me, I've always had periods in time where I had like broken free and then came back. At 15, my mother allowed me to stop going to church because I was at an age where I didn't need to really be babysat. So that's when I stopped. When I became 18, I went into college. I stopped being religious, but I always believed that there was something bigger out there in the world. My brother passed away on February 9th, 2015. And that caused me to go through certain emotions and things. He was taken away from us tragically. We're a year and a half apart. And so towards the end of 2015, really the beginning of 2016, I started to heal my relationship a little bit. And being raised Christian, that's when I decided to read the Bible for myself. Everyone should read their own doctrines, if it's the Bible, for themselves to see what resonates with them. Because there are things that people don't discuss. And for me, it was spiritual gifts.
Absolutely.
As somebody who has always known she was psychic, not knowing about spiritual gifts is a problem. It's very annoying. I emphasize the annoyances. Ephesians is my favorite book in the Bible. I want to emphasize that. It talks about spiritual gifts. It's very short too.
Yes.
So I'm 21 at the time, going on 22, and I started reading the Bible. Then I found like this Bible study thing with a group of people that I thought were pretty decent. I liked them a lot. And from there, I kind of was like, okay, I'm trying to build my relationship and fix my relationship with God. And I had to start realizing to separate, which is extremely important, but hard to do, because talking Christianity is not the religion itself. That's something Archangel Michael has always said to me, because that's the Archangel I started connecting to first. It's the people, how they act on behalf of things, and it's just a lot of stuff. It's like people's intentions. Yeah. And I had a bad taste in my mouth because I know the history of Christianity. I'm a descendant of slaves, y'all. I'm African American. And when you know you're a descendant of slaves and that people are beating Christianity in you and doing all these toxic things, and that's a representation of that, that makes you feel some type of way. At least it did for me.
Yes.
So, and it was 2017 when I started to go back to church. It was, 2017 a little bit. I tried out a few churches, didn't really like them too much. I didn't realize how energetically aware I was, so picking up on people's energy, and I didn't like that. And a lot of churches have a thing about money. I don't think a sermon should ever be about money. And that has happened to me a few times, and the energy just came across as greed. And I'm not someone who doesn't believe in tidings. I don't dislike it. It's just the energy surrounding it. And that energy, which is a big, topic of discussion in a lot of churches. 10%, So in 2018, I moved from my hometown and I was living in Sacramento. I'm a California native, y'all. And for about 8 months, I was living there, and I found a church that spoke about spiritual gifts. And I started going to this counselor. She was amazing. And we were talking about like my healing, and I was talking to her about my gifts and stuff. And I was like, okay, she was having this open discussion. I like her so much. But then she said something to me that gave me that wall.
The pause.
The pause. And it's how she was telling me how I needed to utilize my gifts. She was like, you need to utilize it for Jesus. You need to be doing this. She started putting all the rules and all these stipulations and like all these basically policies and procedures in place. And I was like, I don't know about this. But I like her as a person. It's just that goes into that, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to do it. Yeah, I don't believe in that. I believe that you need to not be doing things that are wrong, as in hurting people, intentionally trying to harm them, negative intentions. Yes. Like, the beauty of spirituality and having gifts is being able to be free.
Yes, that part.
Yeah. So in 2018, around that time in the summer is also when I bought my first tarot deck. That's how I decided to start developing my gifts. And I moved from Sacramento to Baltimore for 2 years in grad school. And that's when I really started to grow and develop my gifts myself and started to heal. But the funny thing is, I'm on my shamanic journey, and realizing I'm a born shaman and connecting to my helping spirits. And I integrated my shamanic past life, and I'm working with them. And they showed me that healing and that progress is actually what started me to go through a lot of negative energies and emotions, because I started letting myself free.
Oh.
It started being more deep. So when I started to heal certain parts of myself, I started to let certain things in. I started to integrate that. That's when negative energies and forces really started to make me want to break. I started to heal my emotions. I started to feel a lot of negative emotions, a lot of outside factors making me want to cave in negativity. So that alignment and that shift in the energy caused me to start to feel intensely and have a lot of negative experiences by other people, spiritual attacks and warfare, but I wasn't aware of this at the time. Throughout that year period, really, when I was in grad school, it was heavy, of like just going through that. So in 2020, for me, I would say that's when my breakthrough really started to happen with my gifts more so. That's when I started connecting to my ancestors more. For me, my ancestral awakening was my first awakening. And that's when I first channeled and invoked a fire spirit. And that was very interesting. It freaked me out. I was not ready to see it. But I was
going to say, share what that looked like. So when you started having that experience, those experiences, how did that look like for you?
When it comes to my ancestral altar, I just did research and had the elements, and I was led to put certain things on there and just connecting. I just started spending like 15 minutes a day, at least try to do several times a week to build that bond. I didn't really know what else was in store for me.
So you basically just sit with your ancestors and you just follow them in?
Still with my altar. That's usually when I light my candle personally. I don't leave it lit all the time. It's just the candle symbolizes the flame. You want to have all 4 elements, a cup of water. You want to have earth. For me, I like crystals. You want to have candle, which is representation of fire, and then you put a feather to represent air or something that represents each element. And then for you, each thing can be a little bit more different. There's certain things that I put on my altar that represent certain ancestral things. The more I dive deeper into my past lives and stuff, I also represent those in my ancestral altar. But that's cultural things that come to play. What you do not do is put a picture of a living person on your altar. That's a bad taboo. Don't do that.
Yeah, no, all of mine are like, I have like the what do you call those things that you get from the funeral?
Oh yeah. So
Those
yeah,
programs.
I love the programs, but in some of those programs, people put up like there's pictures of people that are alive. But you try to avoid that because that's basically calling them a warning. You don't want to do that. That's what I've been told from a lot of cultural practices. And
and that is true because you don't want to put that energy.
Yeah, that's what I was told, and I get confirmations of that. When it came to the fire spirit, when I first did this, I did an abundance ritual and I was utilizing a candle, and the candle burnt out for like, I'm going to say like 8 hours. So towards the end of the candle burning, my body made me naturally wake up. And the fire spirits showed themselves to me, and I thought I was tripping. I believe in this type of stuff, but when you see it very clearly, and they started to dance around the candle, around the abundance flames, and I was like, and I thought to myself, I should record this. And I heard very clearly, no.
No.
So I was like, okay, so I just saw them. They looked like they look like flames, but they had like figures surrounding it, and you can just see them move. So the best way I can describe this is like a little Groot, except it was in flames engulfed and they were moving around and dancing. You can just see them. It's like a figurine. Or if you ever seen, can't think of the motion movie that was about the girl and the teenager and how the emotions looked. I can't think of it right now. And I've liked this movie. It's so funny. But yeah, basically they were silhouettes. Yeah, it was a silhouette, and it was just a beautiful silhouette of like just fire, and they had energy. It was very interesting to me because it was very clear. It was 2 of them, and they were dancing inside out as the movie.
Inside. Oh yeah.
So like kind of how those emotions look.
Yeah.
It was like very powerful. The flame was moving, and they were just like embodying and dancing around the plate where the candle was burning to end with. And when I was watching it, I was like, and I'm waking up out of my bed looking at it like, I was so freaked out by it, but it was so enamored at the same time because I didn't doubt what I was seeing. I just knew it was true. Yeah, it was a really cool experience though. And when I spoke to other people about it, because I had a few conversations with people, no one else could tell me that they had a similar experience.
Right.
But I'm a born shaman that did not know she was a born shaman. So that makes a lot of sense now since I shamanic journey and I know my connection to nature. But at the time I was like, mind blown.
Mind blown. I can imagine, because sometimes you see things and you're like, wait. You know?
Yeah, that for me was like, I was watching it and I knew it was real. And I was like, I need to record this to make sure I'm not tripping. And then they told me clearly no. And I'm like, okay, I'm just watch it. And they just felt their energy. And I still have a very strong connection to fire to this day. I have a connection to all the elements as an elemental, but when I light a candle, I always say hi to the fire spirits, that we connect energetically. It's a strong bond. It's also an ancestral thing for me. So I have an ancestor who told me this. We're going to deepen that together too. Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm laughing because that's exactly how I feel. And that's exactly what I do. Like I love, I'm a water girl because I'm a Scorpio sun and a Pisces moon, but I love the water, but I love fire. I love to light candles. I love to light, incense, all of these things. And I'm, and it's funny because they used to say I was a firebug.
So it's so interesting. My spiritual journey, and my ancestor's name is Elder Tumbe, but he wanted me to emphasize that. He's like, don't just say ancestor. He kind of checked me about that. Yes, and this my father's side. For me, my connection to nature started to heighten more and more when I started to be on my spiritual journey. Like I started to be more in tune to candles. They make me feel comfortable, to smells, aromatherapy. All these things started to work more so in my life and are more prominent in my life now that I'm spiritual. Like I literally buy candles whenever it goes out. And I mean, like I have candles that I put on my ancestral altar a specific time. Well, 2 altars, a specific kind. They're usually white. Then I like the other ones that are different colors and different smells for my just senses as a whole. Then from there, I basically had certain experiences a lot. I have strong indigenous guides. So my first spirit guide that I connected to was an indigenous guide, and he showed himself to me when I was living in Florida. Just when I moved from Baltimore to Florida, and I just saw him in a vision very clearly. And when I had someone activate my channeler abilities, this person, first guide that came through was my indigenous guide, Dances with Crow. And then deeper than that, my Mayan indigenous past life is my shaman past life, and those are my primary helping spirits. So as a shaman, I tap in more into indigenous shamanism than anything else. And somebody actually pointed that out when I was channeling light language. It's like, yeah, like my Mayan indigenous guides are who guide me. So that's a beautiful energy in space.
That really is. That is so awesome. So when you began to feel these energies, how did it shift your regular life? You know, how did it shift what you were doing as far as like work and all that kind of stuff? How did that shift?
The worst thing I could have ever did was turn on my emotions, but it's also the biggest blessing. So for me, I was more in my divine masculine energy. Trigger warning, y'all. I'm a survivor of SA, which is abuse. I don't know if I can say sexual, but sexual abuse.
Yeah.
And from childhood, from 4 to 5 to 7, I was repeatedly sexually abused by my uncle. And what my trigger response to that and the way I responded to that was closing off my emotions, because I had to be around him. And my family is very toxic for the most part, very mentally and emotionally, verbally abusive, and occasionally physically abusive, but the mental, emotional, and verbal abuse is very prominent. And I just had to be around that a lot and around him. And the way I responded naturally was cutting out my emotions. And in 2018 is when I really started to dive into that. That's when I started to realize my emotions had to be let out. And through grad school, I have my master's in higher education. So you had to go through certain courses that focus on like counseling and student development, which makes you tie into your emotions and being more emotional. I started to really have that tune in 2020 during the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's so much. It's so much. Now
I can only imagine.
Yeah, it is.
It's like we're smiling now, but you know.
Yeah, no, it was a lot. I had to learn how to discern my energy from other people's energies.
Yes.
And now when I channel, when I read, I naturally pick up on the energy, and I get emotional, or I get like more of a bass in my voice and all this stuff because I'm focusing on the energy. I had to learn how to discern. For me, opening up to being an empath and developing my intuition more and being a channeler is like a triple whammy of emotions. I'm also clairtangent, which is when you touch stuff, you feel things. So I had to learn how to be okay with being in my feelings after not being in my feelings for like over 20 years, like around 20 years. Yeah. So I started grad school at 23. So it's like 15 to 20 years of like holding in my emotions more so. It's an adjustment. It really is. Yeah. Being more my divine feminine and my dark feminine energy, it's like you're meant to feel, Desjanée. And my spiritual team tells me this. It actually got so bad, to be honest with you, I did a ritual to cut off my emotions again. And my spiritual team made me not do, they sacrificed their ritual. They were like, they killed it. They're like, you can't do it. I really did one though. Like, I'm so serious. I took the time and effort to do a whole ritual to get rid of my emotions, to make them go away. And they would not let me do it. They're like, you can't do that. This was back probably in 2021. Yeah, 2021.
Well, it was probably so painful.
It was. I kept feeling everything. And I worked in a very toxic environment. So I was working as an academic advisor in higher education. And I worked there for about a year, but it was just so toxic that my energy literally drained. And I was like breaking down and crying so much. It was a very bad environment with very low pay. It was hard to deal with it. It truly was. And then on top of the pandemic and everything else. So it was like a whirlwind of me just wanting to not feel, but always feeling.
Oh my God. I feel all of this so intensely because I was the same. You know, I stayed in divine masculine for decades because it's what I had to do. You know, it's like that was protective for me, I felt. You know, and I was like, oh my God, y'all want me to do what? You know?
Yeah, it's the most powerful and empowering thing for me to be more in my divine feminine energy now. And I'm really more in dark feminine at this moment because I'm going through a dark night of the soul. But it's very much helping me connect to my womb and heal my womb and embrace who I am. Yes. It's very much an empowered thing, and it's not easy to do. But I actually like the fact that I have a strong masculine side because that helps me when it comes to thinking about things and planning things and basically balancing out my energies.
Yes.
It's most definitely a shift.
Yes. So let's talk about a dark night of the soul. What do you consider as that? And is this the first one that you've been through?
I'm going to say it's my second one, which is an extension of my first. So for a dark night of the soul, for those of you that are wondering, it's basically when you go through a very intense healing and intense period of darkness. It's when you get so many things taken out away from you, and you basically get to this energy of barrenness, and then gets you back to like the standpoint of understanding who you are. Things get taken away. It's extreme hardship, extreme struggles, mental and emotional. It's just like a lot of intense emotions. It's like very intense shadow work, but it's basically you need to realize some things for you to find yourself. I realized I was going through my dark night of the soul in September to December 2021. This is when I was sleeping in my car and experiencing homelessness. And that's where it peaked, like dark night of the soul. That's why I knew what it was. But I would probably say that I started to really feel it throughout that year in 2021 as a whole. In the summer, really intensely. It started to heighten a lot during that period of time, but at the same time, it helped me come through myself. That's when I started to connect to nature spirits. That's when I started to channel nature spirits. That's when I started to realize my connection to nature and my purpose more intensely. Like I'm here.
That's awesome.
I'm here to raise Earth's vibration. So being able to connect to nature and get visions of nature and know what's going on with nature, sustaining human life and literally picking up my energy. Like I'm currently in a hotel because I went to the river to cleanse myself and to connect to nature, a little bit away from where I live. But all that just started to come in during this time. That's when I started awakening to being a representative of the Divine Council, which is the council of gods, goddesses, and deities. I started to channel and connect to them more so during this period of time. So I started to awaken to myself. And then it was very intense and deep. It was like, dang, this is why I went through this. It did not make me happy. Don't get me wrong, but I understand the why behind it.
Right.
Now, so after that, I lived with my family for a year. And now I'm currently no contact with them, but that intensified my dark night of the soul too. It triggered my inner child and my inner teen. Again, my family's mentally, emotionally, and verbally abusive, and I'm the least favorite child. My mom has 3 kids. I'm the oldest and least favorite. My brother is no longer alive. My sister is 10.5 years younger than me. And she's married to her father. It's a different type of energy and vibe.
Wait. What?
Yeah, so our age difference, she has a different mom than I have. 10.5 years older than I'm 10.5 years older than her. My mom had me at 18. My brother is a year and a half younger than me, so she had him at like 19. And for my brother is a favorite, very clearly always will be. Only boy too, and I have a family that has less men or boys than women. And in that energy, my sister has a different mom than I have, and they have a different relationship than I have. My mom has never nourished or nurtured me. That's not how she is. She's a little bit better with my sister. And my mother is married to her father. So that's also a different foundation for their whole relationship as a whole. So it's a different space and place. Gotcha. I love my little sister. I still speak to her. She just turned 18. But altogether, awesome. That's a very different energy as a whole. So that added to it. I was triggered by my inner child and my inner teen because I remembered how my mom treated me. The mental and emotional abuse started coming back, being the least favorite, just being the targeted person that she wants to take out all her pain and frustration on. That was always me. And that happened a lot throughout this time. The first month, because I really wanted to unalive myself, I was very not in a good place for my dark night of the soul. She was more nurturing. But after they went on a trip in January and certain energy shifted in her relationship and that dynamic, I was the scapegoat. I didn't do anything, but it was me. It was just me. It was Desjanée's fault. And I didn't do anything. I even vocalized this to her. And she was like, you know what, you're right. And she kept doing it. So having those boundaries up and communicating to you that I shouldn't have to deal with this and not be taking things out on me for no reason. And then I'm also the person she's venting all her emotions and frustrations out on at the same time. It's like a double whammy, triple whammy of all these things. And I communicated about it. I tried. I really, really did. And I was already going through a hard time. So it was a lot.
Right. And was that a thing that, yeah, I understand that. Go ahead.
So now my shamanic dark night of the soul is more intense. I am coming more so out of it, but they've been forcing me to have more of a realization of why my life has been the way it has been. And that realization of why is very intense and very serious. So awakening to being a born shaman is having those, like this energy of this is why you've been through what you've been through. Yes. And it's not like I was born into a shamanic community. I was born into toxic Christianity, always knowing I had gifts and magic. I had to figure out how to develop that. And it just irritated me so much. It really pissed me off. I'm not even going to lie to you. And my helping spirits, my Mayan indigenous ancestors, they're like, get over it. We gave you clarity to understand, but you have to get over it. You can't keep being mad. Get over it. You have to work with us. Get over it. So shamans typically have very hard lives. They go through a lot of abuse and a lot of neglect. They go through a lot of cycles, and that's been pretty much been my life. Sexual abuse, from SA, from mental, emotional, verbal abuse, from toxic family members, from not being loved. I've always had toxic love, just not really being valued and having lots of struggles and strife to usually survive in every aspect, even though I work hard. It's just like all those factors and all these truths started to align, and I had a lot of connectivity and ahas. So for me, it was understanding why I went through what I went through, understanding that why. It helps, but I was I'm still going through certain things, having to heal those energies. So you have to practice forgiveness. You have to be able to be in the energy of gratitude. Love is a very strong factor. And for me, I speak about certain things that are key types of shamans. There are two things that they told me. I'm supposed to be community oriented. And I'm like, how am I supposed to be community oriented? And I have never had a community. My spiritual journey in my life has been very lonely, y'all. It's still very lonely. I don't have that many people. The second thing is more so of how people utilize their gifts more differently than other people. Like for me, I was practicing as an intuitive channeler and seer in my gifts beforehand. So as I'm utilizing being a shaman, it's a little bit different way of doing it. And I'm learning more. Like shamanic journey and is a little different than like astral projecting and diving deeper into that. So I'm learning different ways of doing so. I'm being more in a practitioner. For me, when I embrace being a shaman, I embrace being a practitioner. So helping people activate their gifts, invoking healing energy, allowing energy to flow through, helping people connect to their spiritual team. Those are all my shamanic energies that my spiritual team are pushing me towards. And it's been a very interesting thing. And for me, it's funny you laugh because
I'm laughing because
I know so much, and it irritates me to know, because I know that, like, for me, I have a shamanic community and soul tribe coming in, but the knowing of it, never seeing them, irritates me. It's the same thing with my divine counterpart. I pick up on his energy, and I've been picking up on his energy for years. It's very loving. And I'm somebody who never wanted to be a mom or have kids or get married. I have a toxic family. I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not having a kid. And I started to have visions of the fact that I know I'm going to be a mom. And these have been really big driving forces for me personally, as I've been in very low places. I have a semicolon tattooed on me right here. And I take it very serious because I've really been at that place, and it's been hard to like shake those energies. So knowing these things and picking up on these energies and being told to be patient because they're coming has been very much an interesting turn of events.
Yes, yes.
So my shamanic dark night of the soul is still happening. I'm coming out of it for the most part because they really made me realize who I was, and I'm awakening more and more to that. And it's just been a journey. So my shamanic dark night of the soul is an extension of what I was already going through, but it's making it more intensive understanding of who I am and why I went through this. This is what you need to do. This is why you can connect to nature. This is what you're supposed to do as a practitioner. It's a lot. It's a lot.
So did you, yes. So did you get shamanic training, or how did that work out for you?
So past life integration. I have a shamanic past life. So I integrated my past life, and I had my Mayan spirits, my Mayan indigenous spirits and ancestors did an initiation spiritually. Yeah. So a lot of people don't know that you can just you can integrate your past lives and those memories, those gifts, and those abilities. So me having a shamanic past life, I have a high priestess past life, and I have a few other ones that I have integrated. And I take being a shaman very seriously. And it was weird for me to shift my name to have, like, I was just going by Desjanée Threat. And they told me very strongly to add the shaman to it. So I'm going through an initiation, and they're training me about certain things and gifts and abilities spiritually. I haven't been able to meet a shamanic mentor in my physical plane yet. And they keep telling me it's coming. It's been just interesting to awaken to my gifts, and the way I'm doing things is naturally from the things I already know. And being guided by my shamanic helping spirits. But yeah, for those of you who do not know, past life integration is a thing. It's different than a past life reading. It's also different than a soul regression, past life regression. It's when you integrate the past life, and basically your soul is tied to every lifetime. Souls are genderless, and you are able to basically integrate a past life that's meant to be and that's prominent in your life. And you start to awaken into those memories, those gifts, those abilities. And that's what I did to myself several times, actually. And I can definitely do it for other people, but I only do it when I feel led to do it for people, because it's not every lifetime. It's the lifetimes that you need to be tapping into those energies for the incarnation. So yeah. It's very spiritual. I go through a lot of spiritual ceremonies and go through things in different planes and realms. So that initiation for me happened in a different plane and realm. And we were just, energetically, it was very intense. It made me feel very tired.
I was getting ready to say it had to be kind of exhausting, because that, moving that type of energy. Oh my God.
It was very beautiful though. It's the same way of how when I cleanse and activate people, when on more intense levels, I go in different realms. So it's like spiritual realm. It was in a different spiritual realm. It was one of the most intense things that I actually did. Also, because I'm being led to talk about this. Awakening to my shamanic energy and who I was allowed me to realize how many things I was born into karmically from my past life karma and ancestral karma. So I started to do rituals to release some of those energies and those blockages. Like, I've been very hardworking my whole life, and I have a master's degree, and I kept having this energy where I was not having breakthroughs or success, no matter how hard I worked. And I'm very smart, and I don't mean that in like an egotistic way. I mean,
no, you are.
I'm very capable of a lot, and I always had that block of not having the energy open up for I can have a good level of stability. So I awoke into that, and I did a ritual to cleanse that and break that tie. And I did like 3 of them back to back. And that was probably the most energetically heavy ritual that I did when I was channeling and invoking my spiritual team, different gods, goddesses, and deities, ancestors, and cutting that cord and releasing that energy. That was intense. And when I was burning through this, my voice starting to go out and releasing that energy, I actually saw how it burnt. It burned to show me like a spell of a witch, like a witch broom, and then a pot, and showing me a witch symbolization. And where it took the most time to burn through was like where the pot was, like the working was, what people call working. And it burnt through so intensely that it burnt through the bowl that I was doing the ritual in to really get to it. Yeah, and it burnt on the floor of my apartment. So it shows how deep and intense that energy was, and that clearing happened. And I'm starting to feel it now, but it took like 3-4 months of working through it to have it happen in my physical plane. But awakening to my shamanic energy allowed me to realize this is what I need to do. This is what I have to do. This is what I'm picking up on. And I also do the same thing when I read people and pick up on their energies. So it's been very intense. But being a born shaman and how I've been having my shamanic awakening and all these things and how I utilize my gifts, it's been very solitary. It's been like I pick up on people and meet people at certain stages, and I may try something and they help me, but then it's mainly by myself and working with my spiritual team. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome, because the thing is I don't think people realize that can be done that way, because everybody's chasing courses and classes and all kinds of stuff, and it's like, tap in.
So for me, I actually thought about doing this traditional, actually tried to do this traditional Black African American practice, and it didn't work out for me. The person was not the right spiritual teacher for me. They made me feel very little, and I was communicating to them about this energy. And she was like, we're going to have you go to connect to the water spirits. I'm like, I'm connected to the water spirits. I'm connected to all the spirits, like the nature spirits. She's like, you're not, you're connected to all the nature spirits. I'm a shaman, y'all. I may have not been aware of that, but there's a reason why I'm connected to all the spirits and with my purpose and all this energy. But they kept belittling me and downplaying when I'm telling them what I can do and all these energies. And to me, as a spiritual teacher, to help people, that focus on helping people connect to their spiritual team so they don't need me, that was all energetically wrong. Also, I want to emphasize timing is the thing, because at the same time, when I was thinking about this specific cultural practice, I'm choosing not to say what it is, by the way, because I'm just, I don't think there's nothing wrong with the practice. That was just the wrong teacher for me and the wrong energy.
Yeah.
At the same time, I was debating on going into the shamanic course. And this course at that time would have been online, working with a shamanic person. And my spiritual team, the day I was supposed to have that course and be able to meet it and do it, that they had technical difficulties and the meeting never happened. And my teacher, they were like, I took that as a sign it wasn't meant to be. So I asked them, I'm like, if I knew I was a shaman, I was debating on going towards this for me. Why is it I couldn't do? They're like, it wasn't the right time. And for me, the timing was that I was already very comfortable and pretty confident in being an intuitive channeler and seer. And that foundation as a channeler and a seer, as my body is shaking, is the same foundation as me being a shaman. It's just a different way of me doing it. So me going through this and learning how to utilize my gifts this way, and then focusing and using them as a shaman, like shamanic journey and activating gifts and working with my spiritual team, I had a foundation already built that I'm building upon. So yeah, it's been very unique. It also relates to my it relates to my purpose personally too, because I'm here to help people tap back into their magic and magic within the universe. And I had to do it too. I literally been doing it very low. I got a big confirmation chill all over my left side. It was beautiful. Yeah. So for me personally, I understand it as somebody who has always known, but has not always accessed it to this extent. Like I tapped into my gifts throughout my lifetime, but I did not utilize them to the point of how I am now, being solely within my purpose.
Yes.
I get that. And that's why I focus on helping people connect to their spiritual teams. I often tell people they don't need me. And that's a very truthful statement. Like, okay, you have these energies surrounding you. They're telling me they're surrounding you. Let's connect to them. Let's see if you can pick up on the energy. Let's discern that energy, like I did with Archangel Michael to start off with. All these things are like, that energetic connection is everything. It really is, because you discern it, you know it, you build it. That's the relationship. And you should be building a relationship and working with your spiritual team.
Yes, that's powerful. And the fact that you actually, want people to access their own guidance, that's huge, because there are so many people out here that they just want you to keep coming back to them. Yeah. Can I book with you next week? Can I come to you next week? This kind of thing.
No, like I started consistently, I agree with you. I completely understand. Like it's a no for me. So I started teaching courses probably in February, but like going in and out of this year when I was going through my shamanic journey, and I focus on teaching on energetic understanding and connectivity. I'm a divine guide. I'm helping people connect and utilizing their magic, their gifts and abilities. Now, I started really consistently reading for like the last 2 weeks, and 2-3 days into me reading, my spiritual team had me shift the way I was reading. And there's nothing wrong with the way I was reading, but they started having me focus on being a practitioner and having that energy and that mindset of how I read. They're like, okay, well, this person has a connection with me. You need to be telling them they have a connection to me, and let's help them build that connection with me. They're like, I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, I've been told that you don't need me. I tell people this. I probably told this more than half the people I've read. I'm like, you need to be working with this energy. And I'm giving them confirmations of what they feel. I'm telling them, I channel them sometimes, depending on the level of the person. I'm like, well, they're telling me to not channel them for you. They want me to help you get the information directly from yourself. We work together. That's literally how I've been reading people. I've been helping people remove blockages and activate and just really fine tune their gifts and abilities, because you have all the information and connectivity from within. Sometimes you need people like me to help you access it, but then you can do it on your own. The same thing with the person who helps me awaken to my gifts and activate my abilities to channel. They were there for a reason. Now I utilize it on my own and I help other people too. And that's how I think of my gifts and what I'm meant to do as a whole.
That is so powerful. That is so powerful. All right. So it's probably time for us to land this plane. But oh my God, it's so amazing. So I have one question for you that I had been thinking about. So what do you see for yourself in the next, say, 5 years?
So I have ideas that I'm meant to put into the world. I'm going to be a best-selling author of millions of books. I'm going to have TV shows related to my magic, my gifts and abilities, helping other people realize magic exists and finding things. I have 2 in mind that I'm meant to do. I'm going to be a well-known spiritual teacher. That's my purpose. I have a huge purpose on being an educator and helping people connect to their gifts and magic and nature as a whole. Emphasis on nature right now. That's where I'm personally growing my relationship more as a shaman, on connecting more with nature spirits and getting more information. That's the primary focus for me, because the spiritual gift side of it, I'm helping other people and I have a good layer of mastery. The nature spirit, that connectivity, that intuitive flow is what is my primary focus. And that's where my teacher, when they come in, is going to help me with. Also my knowledge of herbs and healing with herbs. Right now I'm focusing on energy. I will be known for being magical and helping other people access their magic. And I emphasize this because I am a representative of the gods, goddesses, and deities as a divine council, and that disconnectivity from them, I'm literally helping people connect back to them. And I've done this less than other things, but connecting to Ra, connecting to Isis, to Hathor, to Loki, to Odin, to the Celtic goddesses, the Norse goddesses, to the indigenous goddesses, gods, deities, all these energies. And I try not to read people for closed practices based off of their energies, but I can channel them and that makes people mad. But that connectivity and helping people awaken to that is a huge purpose right now that's happening as Earth and humanity is shifting. And I've done this a few times with people, and I'm looking forward to helping other people tap into their purpose of doing that, because that disconnection had never happened. They're not myths. So that's a huge part of helping I see myself doing in the next 5 years. So arising, realizing that they were never myths. It's an insult to call them myths. You can't just say one is real and one is not. It's weird.
Yeah, and that's huge. I absolutely love that, and I'm so pleased that I'll be able to watch that as unfold. You know, it's amazing to me, because just the fact that you were able to connect in that way, and you didn't have to go through all these, shaman 12-year-long things and stuff like that people are going through. That's huge, and that's amazing. What is your advice to anyone that is coming into this space and can feel that, this is the direction for them? What would you say to them?
It's important to get a deep layer of understanding with self. Something that my spiritual team tells me, and why I've never really been drawn to a specific community, and I know I'm coming into one, is that understanding of self. Know that it's a journey. You will awaken to different things throughout your life. And there's certain things you will awaken to when you're meant to awaken to, like me being a shaman and going through this part of my journey now. You have a spiritual team that you can lean on and connect to, that you should be. They are for your best and highest good. There's a lot of support out there, but it's the best support you can do is show up for yourself and connect to your spiritual team, because they don't have the same energy as certain people. Like I had a negative experience. That's a part of my journey. And really just be kind to yourself, because when you go through a spiritual journey, you will have to heal. And healing is very intense. It's not love and light. It's love, light, there's shadow, there's dark. All aspects matter. I'm a light, shadow, and dark type of a mystic. I'm a dark shaman. I focus on darker energies and transmuting them and healing them and letting them release. That's who I am. And all these type of energies are important for you to realize, because not everyone's journey looks the same. Not everyone can be trusted. Yes. You have to realize what resonates with you. And that's why you have to have a strong foundation within you. Like if I would have had someone try to teach me, and I started taking mediumship courses back when I lived in Florida. At the place, they had like a 3-year process to be a certified medium. And I was like, I know that's not what I'm meant to do. So when I took courses, I just developed my intuition and my gifts. And I go into places where I'm meant to go into them and then leave and do whatever I'm meant to do. And I'm here now. But everything has a purpose and meaning, even the negative things, like for me and this person, in my experience. But you being honest with yourself, getting to know yourself, because you really do have to re-find yourself and re-know yourself and come into this energy of understanding self. It's a lot of unraveling that happens when you come into yourself spiritually and you start to dive deep in lots of healings and unprogramming.
Yes.
Right? For me, I come from Christianity, and toxic Christianity to be precise. I also have certain triggers and things that I've done that I had to heal and work through, and I'm still doing that. I'm human. And depending on who you are, like for me, I'm a spiritual influencer. I'm online a lot. There's people that would tell me that I don't channel who I channel, that I'm not the real deal. I had this period of time where in February 2022, well, March to April 2022, I got the visions of the world's energy, knowing it was shifting, and the natural disasters that we saw a lot playing out throughout that year, especially in the summer. I had people tell me I was a fearmonger and I was wrong and all these things happened. And I never got the credit that I was right about those energies, because I literally said in the summer, we're going to pick up on it. And people started talking about the energies afterwards. There's uncomfortability that comes with it. And you have to work through those emotions. And I had to work through them. I still have scars from it because I feel some type of way about it, but I still let myself work through them and not care too much about what other people say, and let your magic, your gifts, your purpose speak for yourself. And that's where I'm at.
Yes, yes. I love that. I love that. That is where you're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. That is the magic of it. So let the people know how they can connect with you. What is the best place to find you? All of these things.
So I want to say thank you, Tammi, for having me on your show. I really been enjoying myself. You are amazing energy. You can find me at TikTok at Shaman Desjanee, ShamanDesjanee. I hopefully spelled shaman right. SHAMAN.
Yeah, you did.
Desjanee. YouTube at Shaman Desjanee. Facebook at Shaman Desjanee, Instagram at Shaman Desjanee, Twitter at Shaman Desjanee, and I have ShamanDesjanee.com or DesjaneeThreat.com. Both take you to my website. And this has been a great time. Hopefully I resonated and you got some insights or clarity if you came across this video. That's always my goals. And yes. I always tell people this personally when I read or whenever I do a video or off a collective energy. It is important for you to check in with your spiritual team and confirm energies for yourself, to follow your intuition and build your discernment. Never take anything that I say or anyone else says at face value. Dive deeper into the energies and confirm for yourself. It's the best way and the best practice to have.
That is so powerful. We are also going to have all of her details in the show notes beneath the video. Also, I'm going to include her video that she did with Next Level Soul in the show notes, because that was so fire. To be honest, when I watched it, I think I watched it twice. And, you know, typically for me, I don't watch long videos twice. I take my time anyway. Like I'll watch 15 minutes here and then I'll come back and watch it, you know. But I watched that video twice because it was just so much fire. And so I'm so grateful that Shaman has graced us with her presence, because as soon as I saw it, I was like, I gotta talk to her. I really want her on the show, because I want people to be able to see, you know, who she is and what she can do for them, you know, because the fact that you activate people and that you assist people in opening up to their gifts and stuff like that, and you haven't been through all of this crazy courses and stuff. That's what I'm gonna say.
No, I reawakened to it. I know this, and it's past life information and gifts. And my spiritual team helps me and guides me in doing so. And really, that's what most people can do. these courses and certain things are basically, they can be blocks to what you're meant to do. If I did so, it can be, I could be hindered in doing what I'm supposed to do now. But that's just for me. Some people are meant to.
Yeah, and that's right. And that's the point, that you need to know what you need. Everybody doesn't need that. And, and I'm just so grateful just to be having this conversation with you. It's just been amazing. You have such a wonderful energy, and your spirit is just beautiful. So again, thank y'all for joining us on Straight Out of Savannah. I have enjoyed this interaction immensely. In the words of Abraham Hicks, I loved just having this space to share. And I hope that you got so much out of it. I know I did. I took notes. And I will definitely watch this again, because it fed my soul. So I'm just so grateful for Shaman Desjanee. She's just amazing. So if you are looking, her details will be all in the show notes here and anywhere that you listen to it on the podcast playing places, Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, everywhere that you listen to podcasts, you can find this one. So make sure that you are following this beautiful young lady. And if you need her services, grab them, because she has everything available for you, especially if you are in this space where you are learning to connect, because that's what feels like the biggest thing of what she does. It's showing you how to connect to your own spiritual team, your source, to the universe, whatever you call him, her, or them. So again, thank y'all for joining. I absolutely love you. And if you are a spiritual entrepreneur and you are looking to come on the show, send me a message. You can find me anywhere. I'm Googleable. So again, thank y'all for joining. Bye now. I am so excited to share about my new 4-week program, Journey to Radical Acceptance. It is 4 weeks of one-to-one coaching and healing between you and myself. So the thing that makes me so excited about it is I am offering it for the very first time. And so it's in the beta. And so it's a super, super, super low price. And so for 4 weeks of one-to-one sessions, 60 minutes, which we will go into all the things of who you are and all the things of what your gifts are. You'll get your DNA activated. We'll also do healings on each and every one of the calls. I am so excited about it. So for 4 weeks, the Journey to Radical Acceptance is priced at $222. And if you need a payment plan, we can work with that as well. So I'm super, super grateful for that. And if that is something that you are looking for, reach out to me. My details are always in the show notes. You can send me an email, or if you follow me on social media, I'm on Facebook, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, you can, or in LinkedIn. So you can reach out to me there as well. Thank you so much. Bye.
I know you've been blown away with the amazing value here today. Now go out and inspire the planet. And be sure to send us a message when you're ready to come talk about it on Straight Outta Savannah, Talking with Tammi.